true.
This is how it goes sometimes. I forgot my charger, so the computer, and it doesn't really matter. I didn't have anything on here specifically that I needed to bring in.
We're voting on Dr. Jackson's tenure.
The what? Oh, you're in a meeting still? Yeah.
They know I have class up 1, so I just told them my vote, and I'm trying to leave, but I'm making sure he marks it in.
Cool.
It goes
My
9
turn.
months. Yeah, it goes 9 months for first we see it, then the dean sees it, then the whole school committee sees it, then the provost after Christmas, and then the president, and then the board of trustees. It takes 9 months.
Yeah.
It's insane. So, I am live. Okay, good. We got people there too. I was just doing the working stage of a group, but you have any fun groups this week with your people, all your people?
Oh, for sure. Tons.
Yeah.
Tons, dude. I get every week. It's like, on average, I do at least at the minimum 6 groups on average.
That's a lot.
Because you do 2 to 3 each shift, right? And
Yeah.
So I'm the kind of person that, since I enjoy doing groups, I do them constantly. So like every time that they want to come out with me, or we go to the gym even.
Yeah.
So like we're just going to the gym. It turns into a group whether they want us to or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because why not? Like it's because the most effective groups are when there's something they relate to. Right. So like if you can use an example, for instance, of teaching somebody something, it's kind of like how you raise your children, right? This is why it's so important to live by example with your kids, right?
It is.
Because they're not going to learn the lessons when you preach to them. They learn the lessons when there's something happening, they make a mistake.
They're doing it, yeah.
And you say, this is why. Do you see what happened? You see how it ended up that way? That's why this type of thing you should consider. And then you hope to intuit a moral or like the underlying motivation or the backbone of that so that they can use it in a diverse way to new situations, right? So that in that moment, because the reason I say that is because everything's connected. Like I can't tell you how many times I've realized that everything we try to correct with the human condition can be boiled down to something as simple as 5 mechanisms over and over again, right? Doesn't matter how complex it gets in the top, like the downstream effect is what I like to call it. Like it doesn't matter how many rivers split off from that pool of water. It comes back to like character traits, integrity, vulnerability, right? Honesty, like it comes back to those things, and you can use those as a lever to be like, okay, if you start to understand them better, then any situation, no matter how vague it is, when you're like, oh my God, I'm caught, because that's the hardest part of life, right? It's not knowing. You know not to hurt somebody. You know not to blatantly lie, right? But those aren't the things that are pervasive and that actually destroy your character. It's the little things that you're not sure of. It's like, is it okay to omit something? Is it okay? It's like, well, in that situation, because it's not black and white, it isn't. I don't know if there's a book by Sam Harris called Lying. It's really short too. If you ever get a chance to read it, it's like it's super short. You do it in an hour.
Yeah.
But it talks about the philosophy of lying, and it blows your mind on just how intricate and how considerate you need to be on what that means, right? And he ultimately determines that there is that even in the worst scenario, he does an example of like a murderer showing up after you've just housed the person they're chasing, saying, I'm looking for this girl, is she in your attic? And and he actually convinces you that even in that scenario, you shouldn't lie. And not because of some universe, but literally it'll create the worst outcome, period.
Yeah.
But he also brings in the nuance of, but you don't need to lead them up there by their hand to a person and watch them kill. You know what I mean? So like, it's this weird thought experiment in like basically a philosophical paradox that he breaks apart, and it's mind blowing. But it's like that. The reason why I brought it up is because that's a good example of like you have to learn these core things, right? Religion captures it really well, but you have to learn these core mechanisms, and then you have to rely on your intuitions if you live by them. You can't just, that's the argument for why you can't just preach it, you have to live it, right? Because if you don't live by it, you can preach it and you'll always get the rigid, right? You always get this rigid scenario correct. Yeah. The problem is life isn't rigid. And you have to know that when you're in that moment, you have to make those nuances, and maybe sometimes you go against the rigid, right? And that only happens well, you can only make the right decisions then if you're really living by your example. If you're literally being like, I understand morality. It's fascinating psychonomy. So anyways, I teach, I'm getting better these days at understanding what those, and I'm using 5 as an arbitrary number. Obviously it's much more complex than that, but I'm getting really good at these basically couple of core roots or something that whenever anybody comes up to me, because the biggest thing in counseling, you know this too, is that someone comes up and says, I have a lot of specific things. And you're just like, well, I'm not gonna, even if I knew what to do, I'm not gonna help you by telling you all these little specific threads and what to do, because that's just me doing it for you. And the variable of you and how you feel about it and your own autonomy is bigger than anything I can tell you what's right or wrong, right?
Mhm.
If that makes sense. I know it sounds
Yeah.
being vague, but
Yeah.
the job of a counselor is to find a way to get to the root, to be unbiased, as subjective as possible, but to nudge you in a direction that makes you decide the
Yeah.
things that you deep down, the counselor deep down inside knows, well, that's probably a good decision. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm getting this, and I'm starting to realize it's all about going back to the root. It's all about when someone starts talking and they go blah 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 everything. You just got to think, okay, what are they afraid of? What does this come back to? Okay, they don't have any boundaries. They're really bad at setting boundaries. They can't see bad people in their life. Okay, so let's start talking about ways to do that and how to recognize good actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A best friend. What does a best friend look like versus someone who's just an acquaintance?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's the groups like you were describing can be, like slow, small baby steps to get towards doing that.
Yep.
I know I'm going to, I think I posted these for you guys to have, but it's Corey. The author is Corey. And working in a group is a lot of times it is like the people that are inside of the group are helping each other, but there's they have all these key points here, but like no arbitrary dividing lines between each stage. Group development ebbs and flows. So sometimes it goes back to maybe storming again. Maybe you have a storm and go back to norming. Work can occur at every stage. Not all groups reach the working stage. Not all members function at the same level in a working stage. So some of the norms or behaviors both support and challenge to take risks in the group. Leaders use a variety of therapeutic interventions. So yeah, sometimes it is like, I say the most common are balance between empathy and challenge. Empathy, challenge. Because if you're too much of a empath, you're like a pushover. And if you're challenging all the time and not giving any empathy, you're a jerk. Like nobody wants to hear it. So
Shut it down.
if you can balance between the two, and sometimes starting out with empathy out of the gate and building like rapport with them, and then you can challenge them when you have a good enough relationship. Or other members will do it. So it says members interact with each other in more direct ways. Healing capacity develops within the group, and then increased group cohesion fosters action-oriented behaviors. Like people that graduate together, that's why, even you all in college, when you graduate together, like you've been through some like turmoil and like it's a celebration. So like you've all been through it together and challenged each other ideally and struggled and gotten to, now you're good social workers ready to go out into practice and like work in the field, which is cool. So they do give like 6. Hi, how are you?
Good.
That's good. So a productive group has these 6 characteristics, maybe some more, but like focus on here and now, like the present moment is always a big starting place. Having goals that are clear and specific. So like, I always go back to addiction recovery groups because that is a lot of what I had done for a while. And like the goals oftentimes were like clean and sober for at least 24 hours, and maybe why focusing on the here and now is big, especially in an addiction group. Because it is all about today. They could be like on their way out and wanting to go get wasted tonight, but you talk some sense in them or they do some action in the group that helps them. And then if cohesion is high, there's a sense of emotional bonding in the group. Like people care about them. They don't want them to go like shoot heroin and possibly die or overdose or like drink and go back out tricking, whatever it might be. Conflict in the group is recognized and explored. There's jealousy sometimes. I know it's just human nature. Like people are jealous. Like you aren't really sober. You got that surgery and they gave you pain pills or, something of that nature. But there's always some type of a conflict.
Yeah, we want an excuse to why we haven't gotten there yet.
Right. Yeah. Or like, well, you're on psych meds, so you're not really sober. Or like you'll hear all kinds of different stuff that comes up. last two are members are willing to make themselves known. And then trust has increased and there is a sense of safety. So some treatment centers drug test regularly. So that way you can see if they are actually clean and sober, and they can challenge each other. So characteristics of a non-working group is like mistrust is manifested by an undercurrent of unexpressed feelings. Then the participants focus more on others than themselves, like they're pointing fingers or, like you aren't really sober, or you aren't doing the program, you didn't do your 4th step, you didn't finish all your amends, whatever, like part of the 12 steps they're in, they'll make fun of it. Participants hold back and may feel distant from one another. Conflicts are ignored or avoided, and communication is unclear and indirect. So that's a big one because, you do want to use I statements and be specific on conflicts. The conflict could be if I went to addiction recovery that like somebody's not really living a sober lifestyle, or they didn't do some of the step work that they were supposed to. Those of you, and I know we went over it last time, like when you observed your group, any other things you want to share about when you saw your group and observed it? What do you feel or think about it?
Because I wasn't here, so I'll share something. So my group, the group that I did, so there wasn't like a specific title for the group, so it was like everywhere in the United States, but it was also reaching out international, but I didn't see really any international people in there. But it was like very diverse, like.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't really anybody younger than 30, I want to say, but honestly, not all the participants had their cameras on or spoke,
Okay.
so I couldn't really see.
It was like AA of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
But like some of them, one of them spoke. They were trans, non-binary.
Mm-hmm.
One was she was gay.
Mm-hmm.
There was one, I think he was a heroin addict. One was an alcoholic. So it was like very just like diverse.
Mm-hmm.
But when all of them speaking, they had a specific topic. I think it was "What's your mask?" So,
Okay, interesting.
yeah, something like that, or how do you mask? Some of them explained that, and then some of them just came on there to say like, "Hey, I'm glad that we have these every week," because like they basically just got encouragement from hearing other people's stories and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like some of them didn't even get on there to answer the question; they just wanted to express their gratitude.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting to sit in. The person who was leading it, I didn't really get much because I did kind of join like 20 minutes late.
Mm-hmm.
But he was very like engaging, like regardless of the story or who was who. He always gave feedback, and I could tell some of them were regulars because he would say like, "Hey, it's nice to have you back," or one of them who spoke, he was like, "It's always good to have your like comedic relief." So he was a regular, but that was pretty much what my group was about.
And then maybe it was there like a topic or a theme you said was about the masks or whatever and then was it super late at night?
So it was about, cause like they have them every week, but it's like at different times. So this one was like at 4:30 around that time. But I think their latest was like 7:00.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because they're like international, they do have them like even say by midnight here you would have a 6 a.m. meeting at Rome, or like like you could have stuff in overseas and whatnot. So any other takes from your groups? I know you went to the one that was the women's group, which is always fun and interesting.
Yeah, like what you pointed out too, that one of the biggest things I noticed about these groups, especially in something besides the productive layout, like meaning that they had a formula, they had structures that supported them, with AA, mostly religious things that reach out to faith to take over because their addiction is so strong. So there's all these structures, as well as the facilitator. They actually led the group. They took them back on track. They challenged them, pushed them. One of the functions that not a lot of people talk about, which is arguably probably more important than anything else, which is just the community meeting. period. The consistency, developing, because that alone creates this awareness around, I have a problem and I want to get better. It's kind of like the how we devalue unintentionally the amount of effect as well as the importance of just wanting to change versus like actually knowing how or having the tools to do so. They're not trivial. That's just as important in a sense, right? But because it's so much harder to maintain the purpose and drive to keep doing that and to keep it in your front mind, it's the reason why they say, whether you're religious or not, it's the reason why prayer is so prominent in the Christian community as well as a lot of religions, because prayer, beyond its function, right, beyond whatever function you can draw from it, it's a consistent reminder that this is a thing. Think about it. Think about connection. Think about love. Think about God. Think about your future. And that's something that's undervalued, at least in the conceptual sense that it's not talked about enough, right? I don't know if it actually is undervalued literally, but it is like we don't really talk about it. Just like, hey, dude, just come. First things first. You got a problem, you don't have to be deterred by what you got to fix. You don't have to be deterred by how long it's going to take or how hard it is. Just show up every week. Just show up every week. And I don't care if you show up here and just go, oh. Like eventually you'll start to go, oh, and you'll start to pay attention just by necessity because it'll become part of your life.
Right.
You're like, why am I not engaged? Well, it's because it's my life. I might as well try. I say the same to gym memberships. Just go to the gym.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, it was like at least 50 people in there, but like not even half
the
of
majority.
them. Yeah, but not even half of them talk or because like it was voluntary. You had to like do something like message him and say that you wanted to talk.
Yeah.
But it's like some of them just came there just to sit there and listen.
Yeah.
I feel like that's even good enough for them.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. You create that focal point, right? It's like, hey, you don't have to do this alone. We all agree we're going to support you instead of you getting stuck at your self-echo chamber of being like, well, there's nothing they can do for me. I mean, maybe it's not a problem anyway. Whatever, everybody's doing stuff that's bad. I mean, like everybody's excuses, but when you're with people that all have the same opinion of we want to change, you're like, you know what? Maybe I do. You're right. I should really think about this more.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, just the fact of being there, being present, showing up. That's why they have a lead meeting. So somebody will give what they call as their lead, and it's their story for an hour of how they got, what happened, what it was like, what it's like now. Like, how did they decide drinking or using was a problem? What was some of the precipitating events? Maybe they got arrested, maybe they failed out of school, lost a job, all of the above, and then what are they doing now? How do they like stay sober? How do they keep on the track? So did all of you do an AA meeting? Is that did you do AA?
No, I think mine was less AA and more on mental health.
Really?
Mine had more.
But
how was that?
It was part of AA. They just talked about mental health more. Yeah.
Oh, really? So where was that one?
Online.
And how was it?
It was okay. It was good. I
Yeah.
guess.
Was it confusing or were you able to follow it?
No, it was easy to follow. A lot of people were opening up. I would say a lot of them had more depression. And it was low key sad.
So it was like dual diagnosis. It was specific for like you have a diagnosed depression and diagnosed alcoholism. Is that what it was? You think?
Co-occurring. Sometimes those are actual meetings. They call them co-occurring.
Yeah.
Or dual diagnosis or just a co-occurring effect in general.
And more men or more women?
It was a mixture of both.
Age-wise, the same too. Like.
Yeah, like they were like kind of old, like around 30, 40.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a common assignment in graduate school, so that's why I'm glad we can have you guys do it here now, as you'll probably have to do it in graduate school again. So.
Oh yeah. Hopefully that's if you're gonna go for that anyways. That's part of your job.
Did you all hear of UC coming on Monday? Yesterday, we're setting up the trip to UC on October 25th. Did you make it?
I know.
Okay.
No, I wish I had time.
I know. It's a whole Saturday. It's like a 12-hour Saturday if you go visit. You don't have to. Did you hear about it or are you interested?
Yeah, I was interested, but I had class. I can just go.
You will go?
You mean when they come back?
Yes.
Again? I guess.
Yeah.
I think I want to. Yeah.
You don't have to.
Lunch and stuff. They just bring you to a bus and go there. And
They bring you on a bus and feed you at least 2 or 3 meals because you're there for 8, 10, 12 hours.
What are you doing there full time? Just walking around campus?
Yeah, they give you a tour. They kind of show their directed recruitment of Central State students. because we don't have a master's degree here. They show their money and scholarship offerings. They help you write letter of like, I forget what they call them. Is that a praying mantis in the top? That is hilarious.
It is. That's awesome.
I've been
love-
seeing them everywhere.
I
Oh my
love
gosh.
those things.
I
They're like
got
the
off
best
work.
bugs ever.
They are.
I got off
They're so
work
great.
and it was one right on like the entrance door to my apartment,
That's cute.
and I was scared.
That's the first
They're so
one I've
nice.
seen.
They want to check. They're so. I mean, you could literally pick them up. There's nothing they can do that actually hurts.
Right.
Like, they literally, even like,
If you were an insect, they would-
Is it their season?
Yeah,
Because
right.
They're
I was
probably
I've been
like-
seeing- this is probably the most I've ever
This is
seen.
right now is when they
praying
really come
mantis. Like,
And they because they basically all year it takes them like they're not like the other bugs where there's like a consistency to them. It's like this takes this long. They're like long form bugs. Right?
Yeah.
They have longer lives. They only get maturity in a certain time of the season.
Yeah.
The rest of the time they're like almost hibernating or something, like gone.
Yeah. They're good for gardens because they will shred little bugs. Like they destroy bugs. So
oh, I believe it.
They're adorable.
The
They can't
spider
reach
and-
it. They don't have
and
any.
beetle count on my doors is not there.
oh really? They're all gone.
Almost.
That's hilarious.
Because before I was seeing praying mantis, we would have like, but it would only really be at nighttime. It would just be like a lot of beetles.
Yeah, they just sit
bugs
there
on the
and
door.
pray,
Yeah.
or they're preying on bugs. I don't know.
If you get a chance to look up praying mantis versus snake.
Oh,
Praying mantis
Snake?
wins.
whoa.
It's a garden snake and it's a big praying mantis, but still it gets to him. It goes at him and he catches it, the mouth opening. He holds his mouth
I
open.
say yeah.
And puts him on the ground. The snake freaks out and just holds him there, and then like lets him go. And he's just like, "You can't stop me."
Dang.
Okay,
Okay.
he literally was strong enough to hold his mouth open like a hero. Like it was like a serpent.
Wow.
He's just like, "Arr."
That's impressive.
Yeah.
What days, if you guys lead a group, what days are you interested in? I know that, gosh, next week is already October.
Yeah, that's why we gotta pick.
Whoa. I know.
I mean, I could do it because I'm basically prepared. I have like 3 different groups I can lead.
Oh yeah, you are already leading
I
groups.
create. Well, no, I'm not using. I made 3 new ones. I made one on
That's
rumination,
awesome.
another one. So I made new ones, but I can do it because I'm used to doing it. So it was,
Okay.
I kind of scratched out a couple of drafts.
Yeah.
And I've been honing the rumination group or the artistic expression group, so I can do it. I can literally do it whenever.
Okay.
The first time you meet, if you want. Actually, I'll take, unless somebody else has something. I'll take next week, next Thursday.
October 2nd.
I'll do it second because just in case I need the beginning of the week to really hone it in. But I have it now. I could give you guys a group right now if you really want me to.
I know. Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
I can
That's
pull it
fine.
out. I accidentally made a group for public speaking without knowing it.
Right.
I was supposed
Yeah.
to make a
you're
speech
doing-
and it turned into a group.
Yeah, it's see, they're calling everybody out. We're voting on Dr. Jackson's tenure and promotion. Did you guys do you know what tenure looks like when you do
Oh,
it?
she deserves that for sure.
Yeah. So when you submit, it's like a 400-page document. It's
100?
huge. Yep,
Yeah,
there it is. This is everything she submitted. You show your Vita, then your like
It's a big deal, yeah.
presentations,
Once you get-
publications.
Tenure for an organization, they really can't touch you.
True, yeah.
They don't.
Now
I'm being jokey, but like
in Ohio, they have post-tenure reviews, so now they can. They got to hold us accountable to be productive after that.
that's good. Well, I think that's a good thing. I think
It
it's
is.
just it's good if you guys don't know tenure. One of the biggest reasons why they have it is because once you become a professor, your job is to kind of push the boundaries. Like you're not just supposed to teach this curriculum like you're a robot. You're supposed to have your own research. You're supposed to go into areas that maybe some people don't agree with or think that it's not right. And just because you fail or you produce like work that doesn't succeed, you don't. The back in the day before they did tenures, organizations and the faculty or the people that like run the dean and whatnot, they would literally fire teachers because they didn't the last paper didn't produce the results they said or they built this giant thing and it turned out to be wrong. And when you do that, you're discouraging people to try new ideas. So they're like, wait, how do we counteract that? Well, we give them tenure so that if they prove that they've done the work to become a real professor, like which is it's arbitrary, but it's still pretty good. You have to work pretty hard, like you mentioned. If you have
Yeah,
submit a 400-page thing and have a career and like a background. Now, once you've done it, they go, okay, now you can't be touched and pushed out for just nothing.
Mm.
It has to be some serious, like almost a crime to get you out of here.
yeah. Here's all the stuff I had to submit for now what's called full professor, and they have it might be easier just to look at this. Like they have your evidence of eligibility to apply, your Vita is your resume, the assessment of like what I've done, letters, the narrative, instructional assignments, teaching loads, evidence, and then you have 3 areas. So it's service, teaching, and research. So those are the 3, and then letters. So that's kind of, and if you preview it, I guess this is how it looks to the people that look at our stuff. Yeah, they're that's when I got tenure, but you have to show you have tenure to apply for full professor next. So
I see.
and that's you just kind of go through all of it, and
Tenure is only school specific, right? And they, like, if you move to colleges, they have to accept your tenure.
they
college?
they can take it from another college. You can port it over, but they usually make you earn it for 1 year to make sure you're not crazy.
Exactly. But either way, they have to kind of approve. They have a product. It's not like it comes with you permanently everywhere you go.
Right. It is school specific.
School specific.
So, and they can honor, like, okay, you got tenure there. Our rules are about the same, so we could give it to you here.
Okay, question.
Josh got it right away.
Can you please explain again what the leading in class mental health thing is? Only because I know I haven't been in class, but it's like when I first started working, she would put me like, I would have to be there at 3, and like Beaver Creek is like 22 minutes away from here, and I never had time to like eat or do anything. And so I would be sleeping in, but I got class, I got work at 4:30 now, so.
That's good. So
Yeah, I got been myself. I've been the only one here some days.
Sorry.
You guys,
I
I
know.
need you. I need other students here.
Everybody's working. Everybody's working for a living.
I'm gonna do a group. It better not be just for John.
Right, that's
I'll be
true.
there, I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So remember the second, I need an
Okay,
audience.
I'll do it in a second. I got you.
Thank you.
So
Yours too.
when you sign up, the next assignment, it says it's due on the 25th. It's leading in-class mental health group. Pick a week and topic of choice. So here is the attachment. You'll click on this, and it literally will show you, and make sure you can download it, but it shows you from start to finish how to lead a group. This is, the group here is called Girls Circle. It's relationship with peers curriculum. It's a 10-week facilitator guide, and you're just going to pick 1 week that you'll lead. So you could lead week, here they are, 1, which is connecting with each other. You could lead week 2, which is labels, exploring a new perspective, and you see they're each about 6 or 7 pages if you led. 3, expressing myself. If you want to pick your own completely, make your own stuff up, that is totally fine. But some people really like this outline because it shows you start to finish how to run a group. And it's, it's not totally self-explanatory because it does help to have a guide if you have like a PowerPoint or a prompt, or you want to bring up note cards, however you guys want to do it, it's totally fine. And it's good is when you apply for jobs, you can say you've led a group before. Like, yeah, I have experience leading groups. We did in our groups class. So you could pick any of these weeks. Some people like the respect one or giving voice to feelings. Week 8 is romantic relationships. So then when you go down and look at it, it breaks it down of what to do start to finish. So say you go into, here's your format. You have an opening ritual, then a theme, introduction, then a check-in. And it could be like highs and lows of the week, like what was your high point this week, what was the low point, an activity, then there are verbal activities or discussions, creative activities that put people in touch with their inner experiences, then sharing of the activity, and then a closing ritual. So that's how, each group has their own format. This is kind of how this one goes. If you choose to do this one, say you choose week 1, again, here's all 10 weeks in a row again. That shows you, like, if you need help getting some materials, I could try to help you. Like, it has, sometimes you do artwork in it, so it suggests getting like stuff to write with or a piece of paper at minimum. So here would be week 1. Again, it has like, and this will get you, I always say 15 to 23 minutes, because if you are doing billable hours like Medicare, Medicaid, social work, bills, 15 minutes is minimum. Really, a group should be a half an hour group, which is the 23-minute mark. If you did 23 minutes, you bill for that, they're going to pay you for a 30-minute group. Ideally, 38 minutes would be like solid because that means you're billing for 45 minutes. So, but I only ask you guys to do 15 to 23 minutes just to start you out. So maybe you do the activity. Maybe each one of these you do for 5 minutes. The activities for 5. Creating the group guidelines, and the next page goes into even more detail. It tells you how you are creating the group guidelines, the materials you need, the purpose, the facilitator preparation. So here is start to finish. So opening ritual, you'll choose an opening ritual that will mark the beginning of the girls circle. It could be like ringing of a bell. You could play a song. You could have a video or music. You could use the same one each time because most groups are 10 to 12 weeks long. Here's their examples. Lighting a candle, ringing a bell, having each participant say one word about how they're feeling, a moment of silence, music, sharing a special reading. This is why these are called practice classes. So in social work, you guys switch from watching my class as a movie or I'm the entertainer, and now you get to do the action. Like you are the leaders of this group. So the next thing you would do theme introduction. So this week it's connecting with others. The process of basic circle format means just that you introduce theme and purpose of the group. This gives the girls a basic overview. And you could use what they say in the bullet points. Like sometimes in society, girls' relationships are strained, like backstabbing, competition, judgment, or fighting. The Girls Circle aims to develop true relationships and friendships, to learn, to relate to each other on a healthy, honest way and support each other. Girls often place more significance on their relationships with boys or men than they do on their relationships with girls and women. But love relationships can come and go for this reason. It's important to develop female relationships that offer longer lasting friendships. The purpose of Girls Circle is to unite young women and girls together in friendship, respect, sisterhood, not judgment. Then the next page, this is where it kind of gives you see how it details it. And all the 23 minutes you could cover on this, like choose an icebreaker. Maybe it's ask a question like, given the purpose and reason for having this circle, what type of guidelines should we create? And maybe you write them on the chalkboard up there, since we do have a chalkboard. How do you want to treat each other in this group? How do we not want to treat each other? If you chose this week, if you chose week 2, it'll have different details. But instead of a flip chart, maybe it's the chalkboard. Brainstorm a list of guidelines. After the ideas are written down, discuss the guidelines, and then write final guidelines. Then you get to check in. So it is pretty detailed. Like one thing, have each person say one thing you hope to get out of the group, and then one thing they hope she feels about the topic of relationships. And then activity 2 has the commonality beads game. What's that?
I was writing it down before you said it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I was like, ritual. What's one thing you hope to get out of this group? Choose an intention.
Yeah.
Maybe that's fine.
So does that make sense? Is this? I know it's super detailed, but people love this because
I got more for you.
it just tells you how to lead. You'll get up here and you'll be me in running the group.
Yeah, I forgot about this. I'm gonna make it more because I want to fill it outside of what I do normally, because ours are more skill based, meaning they're not as this formal beginning to end kind of stuff. We have 30 minutes. We just kind of like, this is a skill we choose, just go at it. Kind of
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it more structured like this, so I can learn how to do that kind of group.
Yeah, and some people do like picking their own. Like if you found something on the internet and you wanted to do like a self-care group or meditation or something, other people. So yeah, say you take 5 minutes on the first 2 activities, then you have sharing of activity, and that could be another 6-7 minutes. Like, what did you learn about yourself and your interests in this exercise? Did your feelings about or understanding of the other person change at all? And then there's a closing ritual, and that could be 5 minutes. That's how you get, your billable time in, so to speak. And then it repeats with week 2, labels, exploring new perspectives. And like, that's the theme, and it tells you, do you see any that are of interest to you all? I should put that, you know, if you wanted to leave these, would you want to say, I like week?
Yeah, I do like the outline, but I think I want to do like a little bit more research just to see if it's something that I can, because like, I get, since we're coming in here to do it, like, and we don't really have that many people, I kind of do want it to appeal to,
A smaller group.
yeah, in
Right.
the audience, and something that everybody can feel like more comfortable, like.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I
I
love
do
that.
like the outline, so like if I ever have another project like this, I'll.
Yeah, you could even cite this book for your final paper, because that is the final paper, is writing your own group. So you're literally writing, and I say include it as a grant and try to find some funding sources, and then give that to your boss at your job and be like, here's an idea, here's a grant, here's a funding source. I want to apply for this and get us $100,000. And it happens. Like, I know that sounds out there, but you go to grants.gov, you see how many opportunities there are for like monies. There's a lot. So grants.gov, and then you use your agency. It does look different. I've never seen it look this way. So like, say mental health group adolescents to like age 20. I hope this is the same. It looks way different than it used to. This is strange. So,
Thin maternity results.
yeah, I know. I wonder if I'm
Work in progress with new features updated based on feedback. Yeah, so it's.
I wonder if they
Technical
have
script. Wait.
changed this.
Oh, it says must include all words. May include any words. Maybe change it to may include any words after you do it instead of must.
Okay.
Now you can be more specific if you really want to.
Right. So yeah, there's some mentoring networks for mental health research education, mental health related research. And then they say the amount of money that's attached to it, and local and federal. So, and I can show you a couple that we have won ourselves. CBG. I also did Lighthouse. I was the reviewer on one of the grants, but we won this one from NEFA, and it was $599,387. Central gets most of that. And often it's a paper like you write yourself that you've been learning how to write the summary, and then you just got to check all the boxes, but get through all of it. Declare, all the things that like we agree, we're not delinquent on any debt, things of that nature. Then kind of like they want the budget, of course. That's probably the trickiest thing, but we do have templates and they help us with that. And then what we would be paid is crazy, because that would be like, we got maybe 100,000 of all of that over 3 years for all of us, but it was a $600,000 grant. So Central gets 300,000, other personnel gets 50,000, so that's 150. We still have 150 remaining. We also
how does that get allocated? Like, what's the justification for them getting 300,000?
They, for a long time, all universities got half of the money.
Why?
For grants. See,
Grant
that has
is a
changed
thing, right?
this year. But
Is there reasoning because like if you bolster this, you have to bolster the school for the effective, because the grant is designed for the thing that you're submitting it for. Mental health
it
care.
is, yeah.
So, like,
yeah, it was for horticulture therapy.
Yeah, so like I wonder what the logic is between like.
Yeah,
is there a logic because if they don't get some money, they can't have the thing in the first place? I'm trying to think of logically how
That
that's even
could
justifiable.
be, yeah, maybe that is even like an AI question. I'll have to look, because it is changing. I've heard they're shifting it down to like 12 or 15%.
That seems more reasonable.
Right,
Because
yeah.
12, 15 is like, well, yeah, I mean, if you didn't work for us, you didn't apply for this, then you wouldn't have this credibility or because it's not just that you're saying, not every Joe Schmo can apply for that, right? It's not a guy at his house can be like, I want a mental health.
Right.
No, you can't give it. So there is some reason I can see why the school's like, well, we deserve a little bit of that. You're using our name, you're making money on the thing, and we need to keep this school running. But half seems
I know,
like a
it-
really
it
crooked
definitely-
thing.
Was a lot, because then that only gave us this last amount for other
Sure.
indirect costs, and that was the greenhouse was $100,000. We did research in University of Arkansas Pine Bluff with Dr. Carlia Harris. I've done a lot of work with her, and then we paid the counselors with Dr. Hunt. So the counselors and the case managers at Dr. Hunt got $75,000 for 3 years, so 25,000, and then 12,000 for the case manager, and then 50 grand for like the greenhouse. So
Could you
that
imagine
was
if they had like 200,000 for the greenhouse and all the tools, and like even maybe even a budget that just stayed within the school that for future greenhouse / horticulture stuff?
yeah.
Like, it seems like that would be more beneficial instead of.
Yeah, so that was some of the breakdowns there. Here's another grant. It was called Street Outreach. We did at Lighthouse. And this one got $1 million for Lighthouse Youth Services, who I worked with and helped them review this in 2015. So the same thing. They wrote a narrative, kind of like your final paper, which would be 10, 12 pages. And you talk about how homelessness for adolescents was an issue, show statistics, show what you're going to do. They had homeless outreach services, and they were awarded the full amount, the grant. And it, I will try to post this for you guys. Sometimes it helps to see what they look like, if that makes sense. People like having a real life example. So that would be more towards the final paper, but I like giving you real life examples. Like, why are we doing this in the first place? Like, you actually could get money for your grant for your agency that you work for already. Because you all have jobs right now, don't you? Everybody? No? You had one this summer.
Yeah. Summer school.
How was the summer job?
It was good.
Yeah. So maybe they could also even, I am going to, do the announcements come to
You
your
could
email?
connect it to your summer school thing and your
No,
maybe submit
not
something.
directly.
That might
I would
be a
have
good
to go
thing for
to
you.
the
They're boosting
tools to look at.
Like, you can make your end project something you can actually use at camp and then submit it. You're like, hey, this is something I
Well,
did in
I'll
my
see,
class.
well, I have
It
just
was literally
downloaded
considered right
the false
effective.
applicant, so I'll see like once you submit it,
That'd be
if
cool.
Pulse sends it.
Oh, it does show that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to give you guys an example of like the Lighthouse grant that we did, which was great. It's just ways to get yourself funded, because there are, if there is printed money, you got to find a way to access it. Otherwise, it's hard to survive in this economy. So I know that we got through half of this about a working group, but so some choices made during the working stage, like disclosure versus anonymity, honesty versus superficiality. Like that's something that comes up a lot with clients. Like, we do take their word for a lot of what they say. And it's called unconditional positive regard of your client. And that's a counseling term. You give them unconditional positive regard. So they could just be telling you a full line of bull crap. Everything they're telling you is just a lie. Now, when you notice inconsistencies, you could maybe ask questions about it. That would be how you hold them accountable. But that's something to consider. Like, not everybody's going to be fully straightforward and transparent and honest with you. And that is weird to work with. I'm not going to act like it's, very easy to work with. You've also got spontaneity versus control with the group, acceptance versus rejection. And some people could totally there's someone that doesn't want to be sober and they're like fighting you the whole way. And I know in the trauma group, we say we have them choose to come to our trauma recovery group. And if they're not ready, they probably shouldn't be there, because if they're all out rejecting it, they could cause a trauma event for somebody else in the group. And you could have cohesion versus fragmentation as the last one. So some groups will give you homework. And the value of homework in groups, it's like the group is not an end to itself. Maybe it is just like get a home group or find an AA meeting that you go to after this group. Because the group is a place to learn new behaviors, a place to acquire a range of skills in living, and then training ground for everyday life. And then the homework is a means for maximizing what has been learned. Members can devise their own homework assignments. Ideally, homework is designed collaboratively between members and leader. There is one other idea for our group I have that's known as, it was written by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg. And it's about compassionate communication. And the group would be nonviolent communication. He has both a workbook and the actual text. So if I haven't given you too many things already, this would be something that you could check out, vc.org, and use if you wanted to run a nonviolent communication group. But I have both the companion workbook, and this would be like an idea of homework.
Nonviolent, is that like an impulse control group kind of? What is nonviolent? I'm curious.
Nonviolent communication is specific to NVC. Yeah, and even just a way to dialogue in the first place in general. So here's the
It's
book.
like healthy debate.
Yeah, like, so just dialoguing in general, like giving from the heart, the communication.
Nonviolent.
Yeah, it is an
Is that the
interesting,
woke ideology speaking into it?
it
When was
is
this
an
written?
interesting way to describe it.
Just when was this written?
Does it say 03?
Well, it's kind of early if it was 03, but that's a weird way to describe it, because when you said it, nonviolent, so they're implying that there's a violent way to communicate. And they're
Right.
not talking about, because they're not talking about versus punching somebody in the face.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. So, and then, so
Right,
the
that's
cliff
the
notes
policy.
are observation, feeling, need, and request. And that's how you do it. We were trained in this at Claremont Recovery Center, especially in addiction recovery, because there's a lot of communication that, like goes sideways, I guess. And
But they're considering that violent, as opposed to just inappropriate, unproductive, aggressive.
right,
Okay,
yes.
I'm trying to clarify here, because
Yeah.
I very much don't agree with a lot of stuff in that thing. I think that's what perverts that whole thing.
Right,
So I'm curious if that's what they're referring to, and it makes sense if that's it.
right,
So I'm curious.
so that is attached in announcements too, and you guys have the workbook.
Wow, so they
And
started that in 2023. Interesting.
2003.
I mean, 2003, that's what
Yep.
I'm saying, is that was 10 years before this other marker that I know of. Okay, interesting.
Who was the other one that you?
Well, 2013 was when the ideologies that permeated from this kind of base became prominent enough that the public started pushing it and using it and actually physically reacting to it, making other people responsible, literally justifying, like, your opinion isn't only different than mine, but it's akin to violence. And so therefore
okay.
now I have the right to be physical with you over it.
Oh,
That's what happens when you say words of violence, right?
Right.
When you blur the line of violence, because how do you respond to violence? With violence, right?
mhm.
One of the ways to respond is with violence. And people don't say, I mean, you just respond with another way. No, they take it as the same as, you don't agree with me, you say things I don't like, you spread hate. And because it's violence, I can violently respond to you with it.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
that's right now, this has become real prominent, but it's funny how 2011 to 13 was when it started to become prominent in the community, and not just academic and early stuff like ideologies, I guess you would say.
Right.
Again, that's mostly my opinion. No one has to agree with that. That's I'm
Yeah.
curious, because that's the pivoting point, is when they started saying words are violence, which, again, this is me, but a lot of reasoning to believe so. Words cannot be violent by nature. Violence is when someone attacks you. Words can be aggressive, they can be inappropriate, they can be unproductive, they can be mean, they can be hateful. That is not violence. Violence is literal violence. If we get confused between what a word is violently versus a physical, then the lines blur between that, which means the actual function that happens in society is people start hitting and destroying and killing each other over words. And that is primitive and devolving. That is like old school, gross, awful ignorance, basically, in society. And we're pushing that, and have been, with the whole It's kind of the basis of it. The biggest, most effective, worst part of that ideology was this idea of like confusing violence with words. It's like, oh my God, freedom of speech is a big deal. And it means that there can't be words that are violent. It's not possible. Now you can say they're hateful, inappropriate. You can even say they shouldn't be there. That's different than saying they're violent.
Yeah, this is their website. They do have lots of videos. He did die a few years ago. He was the founder of it. And
interesting. I'm gonna look into it. What's his name?
Dr. Marshall Rosenberg.
What is it? Dr. what?
Marshall Rosenberg. And he's done work with gangs in the street in Detroit, folks that were fighting on the Gaza Strip and like internationally. So he's done work all over and kind of boiled it down to unmet needs. So like, and that oftentimes was one of the largest things that caused conflict, but it was coming out of one of the 7 unmet needs. And let me see where did I look at?
I bet you so often people that have these in it, like, a lot of stuff, it's originally designed for a good purpose, meaning for clarity, for understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone picks up one detail of it, amplifies it and runs with it and uses the backbone of the actual work to say, well, this is why, this is what's true. And it's like, no, you completely perverted their entire work.
Right.
You ran with something they didn't. Nietzsche, they do this in Nietzsche all the time.
Yeah.
So Nietzsche philosophy, like, oh, this is what he meant. No, he didn't. He meant so many more things than that.
Right.
And it matters.
The best detailed. So yeah, his page 45 has all the entire list of feelings, like I feel when, and it was great for roommates and also asking for a raise on mileage when we did home visits at Claremont Recovery Center. Like I noticed the federal rate for mileage is 58 cents a mile. Would you consider bringing us from 30 cents a mile to 58 cents? And the guy did. But I do like this page also. It says words like ignored express how we interpret others rather than how we feel.
Yeah.
And here's some words like if you say I feel abandoned, that's not a feeling. That's me interpreting you. I like how he breaks those down. Then he has these are actual feelings. So he has feelings when our needs are being met. And then page 38 is needs, how we are likely to feel when our needs are not being met, like afraid, aggravated, disgusted, intense. So it does get to I feel statements and so practicing those. And then,
when did he die?
What's that?
When did he die?
He died just literally maybe 2019.
I've seen him on a podcast. That's why I was
Okay.
curious. I've actually heard him talk. I like him.
He uses a
Same
jackal and a
actually.
giraffe because he says the giraffe is the elephant, has the biggest heart out of all land mammals. And then the jackal is usually low to the ground, ready to judge and kill and go out. And he says, when you're using your giraffe voice, you're able to see over everybody and see that like maybe they were in abusive relationships, so they're angry at you, or they're just angry in general, and you're able to use that. Their unmet need was, and here's the whole list of unmet needs. He has 7 categories, but autonomy, celebration, integrity, and interdependence. If one of those needs are not being met, we are likely to be annoyed, like feel annoyed.
Kind of piggybacks on Maslow's kind of like philosophy.
He does, and
Hierarchy in a sense.
he includes spiritual communion as one of the unmet needs,
Cool.
like beauty, harmony, inspiration, order, and peace. And then physical nurturance is a big one. Air, food, movement, exercise, protection from life-threatening forms of life, viruses, bacteria, insects. So it's a good breakdown. It's and it's a hot linked book. So I like that you can go to like the very beginning and just like click on. There's 2 full chapters on empathy, and then a workbook that could be used inside of groups. So
I'm curious, is the book that you mentioned, that one, was that a book derived from, that was created from his work, or did he actually create that book?
It does say by Marshall B. Rosenberg.
Okay, so he literally wrote that.
I think he wrote this.
I wonder when it was published. I wonder if they changed titles. I wonder if they did that after. I'm curious about all the details.
He does have a few different editions. So, and then there's 2 full chapters on empathy. It's like, again, I talk about balancing empathy and then challenge and then empathy. This is a good way to understand receiving empathetically and then I love the beginning. It says, "Don't just do something, stand there," and that's his description of empathy, because we always want to like fix it, especially as
Oh, he reverses it. Don't just
Yeah.
do something. Stand there. I see. Yes, just stand there. Do something. I
yeah,
see. That's clever. So it's
And
kind of
then-
like it's like emphasizing listening as being the most
Yeah.
effective part of it.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to action. I like that.
and then there's a whole entire workbook, so this can be used as a group. I guess that was kind of my overall point. Is I did a 52-week study group with NVC, and this was 52 weeks is a long time. It was actually 2 years because we did it over every other week, and then we just did the whole workbook from start to finish. So it's another group that could be run. I just wanted to give you guys examples, and then this one's hot link too. I didn't know, like where you click and it jumps to the page that you click
Oh, that's
on.
cool.
I
Wait,
love
when you
when
clicked on the index and it did it?
yes,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
thank
like
God, dude.
I know.
Why isn't there easy accessible DSM-5 like this?
That should definitely
So
be
big.
You've probably seen this too. Yeah, he has the jackal and the giraffe in his hand in this video right here. He's got so he's kind of, he became pretty famous with this stuff and use it, like I said, on the Gaza Strip and with gangs in Detroit. So like globally, and just kind of whittling down what the unmet need of the whole entire area system was with like systems theory.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, because I really respect like evolutionary psychology in tandem with everything we understand. We don't use it enough, and I like that he kind of, because Maslow's a big group of a type of evolutionary like psychology.
Yeah.
He also adding more description to how to understand the nuances of feeling and emotion, how to communicate and also receive them.
Yeah.
Big deal. That's the reason why we keep our maturity, like from childhood, even from like primitive times. It's due to the nuance between different types of anger. Frustration, like disappointment versus just anger, right?
Yeah. Well, and you reminded me why I usually describe it as compassionate communication. I don't call it nonviolent communication because it triggers most people. Like,
and it implies something. It implies that words, that communication can be violent. There's no way physical actions can be violent. Meaning, like you can't communicate violence by being really angry looking, right? All you're communicating is being angry looking. Now you can physically attack somebody, and that's violent. It's only violent when you literally take their physical form, and do something to it.
Yes, I introduce it to clients because it's kind of the concept that I was trained in. So
for sure,
like, what's the term that, like, I've been trained in it, so I'm prejudiced towards using this. Like, this is my approach. And I do remember to call it compassionate communication, because nonviolent people are like, I'm not violent. That's usually the first reaction is like, I'm not violent. I don't need nonviolent communication.
When we again, beyond what you think. I mean, I don't want a Nazi spewing hate either around me, but the consequence of silencing that and saying we should rule and govern over that is far worse than you can imagine. It's not. I mean, I don't care what you're saving of those people. What you should do is promote people's resilience and ability to let that stuff go and not care.
Yeah.
I don't get upset if someone walks around and starts making fun of white people and talking about how horrible devils they are, because I don't believe that that's true. So if I actually get upset about it, it's because part of me is insecure and vulnerable to that.
Right.
And I have to look at myself and go, oh, well, that's why you're upset, man. Because the truth is, it'd be like someone coming up to you and being like, oh, you're a monster. Look, you're like a squid person. Look at you, terrible. I mean, can you see your tentacles in the goo? Like, you would just get at a certain point, you start laughing. You're like, what are you talking about? Like, I have no tentacles at all. Like, this is ridiculous. You don't get angry. If you get angry, it's because part of you was deluded enough to think that maybe they're right.
Were those guys on campus today by chance that you saw out there with the protest signs and whatnot?
No, I missed that.
I think they're out there in.
Was it? Because last year, was it last year?
Oh God,
I know last year they had protests on the I think it was it for abortion or something? I don't know. Last year they had protests on the campus for that.
But it looks, I don't know exactly what, but I know that it's triggering enough to students, because I walk the same path every day, and I kind of, where the student center is, how there's like that big grassy area. And I don't know if one of the students driving by thought I was one of the protest guys, but she's like, sir, you can't walk on the grass. And I like walk every day on the grass. And, it's like the university student center area. It's not where the sacred grass is, where they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
the fraternity and sorority stuff. I know not to walk on that, but it was right in front of Student Center. Nobody's ever said a thing, but because those guys are on campus today, somebody's hollering at me from the car, like, "Sir, you can't walk on the grass." I'm like, they've
Yeah.
never told me not to walk on. I don't know. Is that like a given thing they do
I don't
now?
know, that's probably somebody, I don't even know.
I think they were annoyed that